minus 4 or 5. We had a bit of an ice storm there last night. The emergency alerts went off on my phone this morning, I think around 7 a.m. saying that the Pickering nuclear plant had a problem and not to panic or evacuate the city yet. Pickering is just on the outskirts of the east end of Toronto, and I have a couple friends that live there. And when I was a kid, we used to fish on Lake Ontario just outside the Pickering nuclear plant, because the water was the recirculating water that they use to cool the rods down comes out into the lake, and it's warm, so the fish gather there. It's always a good fishing spot there. Anyways, I guess that was all a mistake, and they had no problems, and they're testing the system. I don't know. The story changes every time you hear it. Okay, I'm gonna get back on this today. Pull this cone off, change the cam, put the Andrews cam in there. I am gonna, I was thinking about it, Keith even mentioned it too. I am gonna put the lightweight push rods in there. That's the other advantage to, where did I put them? These are aluminum push rods, super light, and these are steel, so they're heavier. And anytime you can reduce reciprocating weight in the engine, you create horsepower. Sometimes you can lose, well, it gets too complicated, but you can get lighter pistons and you take more weight off the flywheel. You get a faster running engine, more RPMs, more horsepower, but less torque. Okay, I'm gonna start on this. I just pulled the cover off. Come off a lot easier this time. And the cam came right out with it in the cover here. This is that Screaming Eagle cam. And you can see all the lobes on it are just like brand new. Virtually no wear at all. Beautiful shape. Okay, so I was looking at this cam cover here, the cone, you know, just looking for any differences in the cone. And the one thing I notice on the outside of this cone is this surface area here is all flat, dead even, so you don't need those little collars, because this cone has got this cutout right in here. Not sure why. Don't know why they did it, just the way they machined it, I guess. And then I noticed something else. Let me turn this down a little bit here. Just want to make sure that these things are going to interface okay, like the oil hole. And I was looking at this last night, and I noticed on two things on this cover. Was sometimes you can buy these covers right from the factory chrome, like the original Harley ones. You can get chrome. The more money, you can get the chrome ones. And then you can get aftermarket ones, or people take their aluminum ones and they go get them chromed. And I'm not sure about this one. I got a feeling this is aftermarket. It's got a part number in there. I can't find my good glasses. But anyways, what I noticed is there's a hell of a ridge around the outside of this. Here's probably, I don't know if you can see it up close, but there's like a, I don't know how many thou, there'd be 10 thou. So I'm thinking about filing this down. The gasket's, I'm pretty sure the gasket's thick enough to compensate that. That gasket's got to be 20 some thou anyway, 30 thou. But there's a big, heavy ridge on the outside of that, which tells me that this is probably an aftermarket cover. So I think I'm going to file that down a little bit, grind that down. And then the other thing I was noticing, whoever installed this put in the new cam seal in here and didn't install it properly. And you know, whenever you install any seal anywhere in any engine part, you know, I always go over it with my finger. Let's see if I can show it there, and just feel around the edges to see if it's evenly inserted. Well, right on this side here, there's more than a 1/16, maybe not 2/16, not an 1/8 of an inch, but more than a 1/16 of an inch on this side. And this side, the seal's actually above the collar here. So that seal's inserted on an angle like this, you know, which is gonna wear out the rubber seal a lot quicker. It's not even. So that gasket kit I got's got a new seal, so I'm gonna pop this seal out and insert a new one. Should be dead even flush all the way around. Shouldn't be cockeyed on an angle, so luckily I caught that. Now the only problem with inserting this cover from the aluminum cover is I made the mark from the pickup, from that Ultra pickup in there. I made the mark to match the mark on this cover. But like I said, those ignition systems, they're almost dead center of the adjustments. So I'm going to set it up for dead center and then put a timing light on it later to dial it right in. So two things I got to do first. I want to file off this edge, because that's a big crisp edge on there, and you don't want this cover, you know, just like that seal, on a little bit cockeyed. It'll wear out these bushings quicker. So I'm going to file that off, change that seal. Whoa, that one lifter's just about falling out. There's the, take that off. There's the front lifter on that one. Push rod fell down. Take that out now. There's that one. Oh, I got the radio on. Shit, that'll probably stop the video, so. Okay, let me do that work first. Okay, I got that all knocked down. Just used my right angle grinder with a sanding pad on it and knocked that edge off all the way around. The gasket should fit on a lot better now. I'm going to pop that cam seal out. I think the best way to do it is just from the inside like this. Give it a tap with a hammer. Actually, I'll tap it on the side that's already sticking out. Yeah, that side right there. Yeah, that seal wasn't even seated in there. It was on an angle like that. I'll just put a new one in. First, I'm going to wash it off in Varsol because I sanded it all down. There's going to be a little bit of filings in there, so let me rinse this off and blow it out. My furnace is making a bunch of noise. I still didn't take the fan motor out. Every summer I keep saying I'm going to take that fan motor out and oil it up. There's my head. It's been sitting in there all night. I kind of been brushing all the carbon out. Oh yeah, let me show you the valves. The valves came out. The valves look like new. I need a fucking bigger bench. I need a bigger bench. My bench is 20 feet long. I need a bigger one. Let me get a new rag here. I'm gonna wash this head out in like boiling hot water and soap. Rinse it, clean it all up because I wanna repaint it here, and then I'll use some brake cleaner to degrease it as well too. Put that there. But here's the exhaust valve. Look at the face of that. There's no, usually you get pitting, and exhaust valves always get this so hot it gets pitted. That valve's in beautiful condition. And the intake valve, you know, it looks like new. No pitting in it at all. Nice and smooth, not grooved. I'll measure the springs. I didn't measure the springs yet, but I'm really doubting that there's going to be a problem with those springs, but I'll check. Oh yeah, there's something else I was going to mention. When you go to those easy out push rods, the 3-piece ones or the telescopic ones where you can pull them in and out without pulling the valve covers off on the Harleys, you also have to change the push rod covers because the covers don't slide up enough to get at the top nut when you lock it in. So well, I think when you buy those push rods, they offer them with the shorter covers, and it's a shorter tube, and it's actually a longer cover you lock in. Otherwise, you can't adjust the nuts on them. Okay, I'm going to clean that cone cover off and get ready to install that. This is a little tricky because I can't get this cover off without that socket. I can't get these 2 bolts at the back here to get the other lifter housing off. So I got to hold that lifter up. But behind the camshaft before you insert it is this washer. This washer is pretty important. It's got a cutaway on it. The cutaway faces up, and these 2 little locking tabs sit on top of the housing. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of assembly lube on to kind of hold it in place. Could use a little bit of grease, but this stuff's pretty thick. I put some assembly lube inside that bearing already. That goes there. I got the mark lined up top, dead center there. And see if I can get this all in one shot. Here she's lined up there. Breather gears are already lubed up. Oh, I got the wrong mark on that one. 2 marks. This mark. A couple more. Make sure the washer's in there. 1 more. One too far. Right there. Okay, those 2 are lined up. This is gonna mark here. Line up that mark there. Right there. Put the shim back on. Shim measurement's the same. Gasket. That goes there. Where did I put the chrome housing? Okay, I gotta clean the chrome housing up. Here's the old the old seal. Here's the new seal. There's Harley has a special tool that fits that perfectly to put that in there, but I just try to find the socket that fits that the closest. And this socket here is an exact fit over that. And you want to get that in as square as possible. Let's start it by hand. I feel it's a little high on this side. That way. I want to go in square. A little high on this side over here. There we go. It's pretty even right now. Just gotta be careful. Just go a little bit at a time, check it a little bit at a time. It's going in nice and even right now. Just keep feeling it. It's dead even right now. Just gonna get it down a little bit more. That's pretty good right there. Yeah, it's just below the surface everywhere. You want it, it's got to be below the surface here. It's just below it, all the way around, even. Perfectly even. Before it was out almost 1/8 of an inch. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of assembly lube on that seal. You don't pack it full, it's just a thin film, that's it. Okay, let's put that back together. Just a little bit on that seal. On there. A little bit of assembly lube on the gear. And before I put the lifters in, when I get to that in a couple of days, I put some assembly lube right on the cam lobes. That's it. Nothing's easy in my world. I had this cover all on, got down to the last Allen head bolt here, and It's a little bit too long because I'm going to take off that muffler bracket here. I'm not going to put that muffler bracket on because this is for the original muffler, and there was one bolt that goes through there, so I don't think I need that. I can always put it on later. So this last bolt was too long. So in my box of spare parts there for the other engine, I found a bolt the right size. It's about a 1/4 inch shorter. Put it in, just snugged it, and it snapped in half. So it's broken off and you're flush. So I had to take the whole thing off again. I center punch it, and I just had it here. Got my easy out kit. See if I can drill it out. My drill's over there. So this will be the 3rd time I've had that cover off. It was all done. It shouldn't be in there very, it should be in there. It should be pretty easy to get out if I can get a hole in it, because I barely snugged it and it snapped off. So I'm drilling on an angle because my center punch mark isn't quite center because the bolt's broken on an angle. So I start on an angle like this, and I'll straighten it out. Yeah, and this bit isn't very sharp. See if this one's sharp enough. It looks pretty freaking dull. Yeah, I gotta sharpen a couple bits up. 8 bits later until I find the one that's half decent. Main thing about drilling out a broken stud is to get it dead center the first time. Probably if I had a left-hand drill bit, I would have just spun it out drilling it, but I don't have one. I thought I had one somewhere. I know I've had one in the past, but I haven't seen it in a while. A little bit deeper. I think that one will work. Hopefully it doesn't take too much. There we go. Got lucky there. Oh, it's only broken in that far. Okay, let me put away some of these tools. I got a hell of a mess going here. Okay, 3rd time. 3rd time's a charm. Wiped it all out again just in case any filings flew around in there. One sec. wiped off some of that assembly lube. Okay, everything's lined up. Okay, let's try this again. That was a little bit too short there. This is the long one up here. So they all should stick out about a ½ inch. That one. So these two should be a little bit shorter. That's about right. I'm gonna go look in my pile for a couple shorter ones. Put the Reluctor ring in, put a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads of this thing. Poke a hole in there. Yeah, cut myself. Hardened up. Oh, fuck. Too much on there. There's a little notch you gotta line up. (15 to 30 inch-pounds). Don't want to fuck that up, let it line up in there. About like that. Okay. Looks better with the chrome one on there already. I'll put the pickup in. No, I'm gonna put this, fill this hole in here. Turn the radio around. So I flushed this out too with some aerosol carb cleaner a little bit. Actually, I used WD-40 because it's got a little bit of lubricant. And blew it all off. And now where is the assembly lube? Right here. clean. Make sure there's no dust or dirt in this. On the shovel heads, the little oil hole always had to face the center of the lifter housing, but they've machined out the whole lifter so the oil goes around it, so it doesn't matter which way it goes in, facing in or out. So, put a little lube on that. A little bit in there. Smuck it around. A little bit on the wheel. That's like a WD-40 or penetrating oil. Just to make sure there's no dirt or dust in there. Okay. Come on over here. Just going to wipe a thin coat of that assembly lube right on that gasket. You can use gasket goop, put it on plain. Doesn't hurt to lubricate it up a little bit. Softens it up, it'll swell. Make it a little bit tighter. Put a little bit of this on the cam lobes. There's an oil hole here. Make sure you get the oil hole lined up. That goes there. That goes like this. So I'm putting on the chrome cone here, and the chrome, these are S&S holders as well too, and S&S lifters. I was looking online, maybe it's inflated price, but these things were 400 bucks, and the lifters were around 200 for S&S. Okay. I'm just going to clean up the threads on this one. It's got some old Loctite in it, and then I'll re-Loctite them, a little bit of blue Loctite on them. Just got my little wrench still. Socket should be in tomorrow. So I'll snug these up as best I can. And like I say, I think they're only like maybe around 20 inch pounds. Okay, let me cover this hole up so I won't get any dirt in there. Tape's pretty much useless. Good enough for poor folks. Okay, I gotta finish the head. First, I think I'll blow out the Varsol as best I can, and then I'll get a hot bucket of water. Yeah, let's do that over here. Keep debating whether to keep this bike or keep that bike or keep both bikes. I don't need all these bikes. This is, I guess I gotta take this one for a good drive, a nice cruising bike, but I know this is gonna be this FXR. It was the nicest bike in its day for handling and lightweight. And I'm going to put a fatter tank on. I got those two tanks over there. I already tried them on the frame. And I just got to weld the bracket, change the brackets, figure out which one I'm going to use, and then try to get an exact paint match scheme. And I think I'm going to do that. Go that route. So I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe keep both for a while. I don't know. Then decide. Okay, let me get a hot bucket of water. Hot soapy water. Clean it up really good. Gotta wash my hands really good. I'll put the seals on, and then I'll put the valves back in, and then I'll tape it all up, and it should be ready for paint. I think I'll do it in that order, because I don't want to paint it and then put the seals on, the valves in, and oil it a little bit, and scratch the paint. So I don't want to wash it with the valves in it, because I'm going to have a little bit of oil on them. Yep, let's wash that first. See that? Yowza. That's a friend Peter gave me the steel bucket the other day there. He uses it's lacquer thinner for painting. Uh-oh, that dropped down to the bottom. That's gonna be hot. What the hell? This thing's stiffer now. Okay. We got a nice clean bench area here. This back on. Here's the other ones. spare. Probably wash that cylinder too. Nice little piece of cardboard for that, a little stiffer. Got some more there. Okay. It's hot. That was that. That water being so hot, you can see it's pretty much dry already. It kind of bakes itself off. I'm thinking I'll rinse that cylinder off while I'm here. I'm not going to paint it or anything. But the minute I wash it off, I've got to coat the inside or it'll rust. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't. It's pretty clean. It's pretty clean. A little bit of dirt in there. Because yeah, it'll rust really quickly. Right now there's, you know, a thin film of oil on there. I'm going to leave that. First thing, valve seals. Put them on there. There's a valve seal insertion tool. I don't have. I used to have. This is my drawer with all my specialty tools in here. I used to have something like that. It's something like this where you put the seal in and you tap it on. It was something like this. I think it was plastic. But what again, I'll look for a socket that just fits around here perfectly. Some of them, like the Honda ones, you just push them on by hand. There, that's about perfect. Catches right on the outer edge, the steel part. That's what you want. You don't want to push down on the rubber, just on the steel part. And could put a little lube on there. Some people put lube on, but then you got that chance of it popping off, right? I need my little tap tap. Where's my little tap tapper? Just tap it in the hole. A little tap tap. Get it as square as possible. Should be able to hear it bottom out. There, you hear a little different sound. A little spring popped off that one there. I just put it back on. Pushed it about halfway that time. Yeah, you can pretty much push it on manually. It's better than tapping it. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Just push that on. All the way. It's rubber on the inside. It's not, you're not pushing steel over steel. There's a little, the blue rubber goes to the inside, so you can just press it right on there. That's good. Okay, put the valves on. First, I'm going to measure the springs. The valve spring free height for the outer spring is 2.105 inches to 2.177 inches, and mine is at the very minimal specs here. It's like 2.1. This is the intake side. Yeah, and it's right around the same. We're at the minimal specs there. And it's not from being worn out, because like I say, there can't be a lot of kilometers on this bike, but probably just from sitting under tension for so many years, 30 years. And I don't want to order valve springs. They're right at the minimum. I think I'm just going to put it together like that for now. And that's the outer spring. The inner springs, they get jammed right in there, like they get seized right in there. I almost get that one out. Oh, mother of all creatures, large and small. But guaranteed that's probably going to be at its minimal one too. I'm going to go look up some springs just to see what the cost are, how close there is some. Let me go look them up. I looked up a set of Andrews valve springs on the internet, and I put a bid in, so hopefully I'll find out tonight if I get those. They're I can get them for under 40 bucks, 37, 38 bucks for all 4 of them. Yeah, these ones, the exhaust ones are right at the marginal line, and the intake ones are actually a little bit smaller. And those are alright if you're just going to putt around in this bike, but if I'm putting the cam in it, I got the SNS carb, I'm going to be revving this thing up. And it's at the high RPMs where these valves will start to float. And that's when you could, you know, ding a valve in the piston when they start floating. So I'm not going to take a chance. I'm going to order the Andrews valve springs, and they are good up until 0.556 of an inch. 0.5, yeah, 0.560 of an inch, I think it is, or 0.550. And the Andrews cam is 0.495 of a lift, the E27 cam. So they'll work perfect with that. It says you can use the original keepers with it, with those springs. So that's going to be a few days before I get those in. So maybe I will have to paint these the way they are. That way it's all ready to go. Tape it all off. So maybe I'll do that, but I think that's all I can do for this video for now. The socket comes in tomorrow. I'll pull off the rear cylinder and start working on that one. Okay, good night.